Out of every director currently working in the industry today, the one I think that will be best suited for working for Microsoft, creating transitions in PowerPoint, well, that will probably be Edgar Wright. And Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a great example of why this man's editing and transitions are so revered in the industry. Take this scene for an example. It's their introduction to Knives and Scott's relationship, which, on Scott's behalf, isn't very serious. To cut to the next location, somebody walks in front of the camera, obscuring the vision of the viewer and making a nice transition to the next location. They do this once again to get them outside of the Goodwill and again to get them inside of the Goodwill. If you ask anybody about this scene, they probably won't remember it for its distinctive location, but they probably will remember it for its lack of a distinctive location. A story about a man who feels lost in life should also make the viewer feel lost with him. That's why they never really dwell on a shot for too long in this movie. It's all indistinctive to Scott. Everything blends together. Another thing that Wright does so well in the edit, and we could all probably learn from, is keeping tempo. Take this scene for an example. As Anna Kendrick, Scott's sister, looks to camera right, we dolly to Scott's frame. This not only contributes to the movement, but it is also Scott's sister looking at him through the frame. A nice touch to exaggerate her disgust even more with Scott at this point for dating a 17-year-old. The picture then dollies to the right, revealing the hidden right part of Scott's frame. This was done by Wright on the set to make sure that this shot could happen. He positioned Michael Cera to camera left to allow for this shot to move the exact way it does. We then see the armchair, which is used as a sort of cut-off point. It is also neatly cut out to allow for the frame it is leading into to appear around its shape instead of a straight line. This allows the shot to move much smoother than it ever would otherwise. As the dolly continues, the movement doesn't just go from left to right, but it starts to go down too. It has a comic book or manga effect to it, which is obviously a massive inspiration for the film, with Scott Pilgrim originally being a great graphic novel series. If you were to map out this transition, it would look something like this. Your eyes are always being drawn to the right, which is very reminiscent to a comic book or a manga. Now, if you were to compare this to something, for example, this page from Naruto's manga, you can clearly see Wright's inspiration with this. Your eyes follow the content so smoothly, from the wide shot of Kakashi and Rin to the close-ups of Rin, Kakashi and Obito's faces, until you get to the final split of Kakashi and Obito. Now if you look at the whole page again, you can clearly see how Naruto moves your eyes from right to left. Pretty much exactly how Scott Pilgrim moves your eyes from left to right. This short sequence alone shows just how much time and care went into the making of this movie. The planning to execute something like this along with the technical abilities to do it are truly outstanding. The cuts keep your attention. They draw you into the movie and the world and the people Scott are surrounded by. A movie like Scott Pilgrim has to grab your attention. The target audience is small. They have to try to wow you with quick cuts and smooth editing, which clearly they're doing very, very well.
Scott! What? You only played one note for that entire song.
My hand slipped.
Scott Pilgrim is confused. He's at a stage in his life where everything seems all over the place. He's unemployed, his girlfriend broke up with him and became a world famous actress, his band isn't doing so well, and he's kind of dating a 17-year-old. Scott Pilgrim is in a transitionary period of his life, so is Ramona Flowers, and the constant onslaught of beautiful and seamless cuts isn't just for aesthetics and to keep pace, although that is a big part of them. The main reason to have them there is to push the themes of transition in our main characters' lives. Scott is living a kind of Groundhog Day, where nothing feels substantial and every day feels pretty similar. Many of these cuts play with this idea, like the one I just showed you or the first scene that I talked about. None of these places are distinct to Scott or us. This might be why many of the transitions with Ramona feel different. Much like Ramona, they're not meant to fit in, they're supposed to be seen. This is even more stating of the themes, as Scott sees Ramona as somebody who can help his life feel less homogeneous. If we look a bit more at Knives and Scott's date, we can see shot reverse shots where the reverse shot is in a completely different location to the original. Wright doesn't necessarily break any rules here, but rather he uses the rules of cinematography and editing against the viewer to convey Scott's feeling of uniformity in life. If you compare this to Scott and Ramona's, they use a subspace highway for the transition, basically a door that leads them to a place that door normally wouldn't. This is a flashy, standout transition, and it lacks that feeling of homogeny that Knives Date does. In other words, saying that Scott feels free. One thing I've yet to mention about the transitions in this film is, of course, the beautiful sound design, which is arguably just as, if not more important as the cut itself. Wright used the sound design for cuts in many ways in this film, with the obvious ones being the ones used to keep tempo. Take the scene for an example. It starts on a deep swoosh to go from black to the storefront, and they continue to use swooshes in that way to transition things throughout the scene.
He only likes her because she's old.
Here when Knives rapidly turns around, and once again once she reveals her new hair colour.
Oh God!
And yet again once she turns around to her friend.
I look so good.
This is enhanced diegetic sound design, which normally by itself wouldn't be enough, but once you increase the intensity of it, it can really add to what the characters are feeling. If you want more noticeable sound design, take this for an example.
Wow, girl number.
See you at the show, Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, hey, it's tonight. At the.
It's much more abrupt and sudden than the rest of the transitions in the film, but it's just as satisfying to watch. Another one very similar to this is one that I used to transition music earlier in this video.
Do you know that girl?
Scott!
What?
You only played one note for that entire song.
The hand slipped.
Is your girlfriend distracting
Again, it's
you?
very abrupt, but it works so well to keep the viewer hooked and change the location at the same time. When you look at all the examples I've given, along with the many that I couldn't fit into it, you can begin to see why this film is so praised for its editing and its transitions. The time and effort that must have went into making the cut of this film is truly astonishing, and, well, I think the finished product matches that perfectly.